This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to an episode of the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. We're on the Baseball Insiders feed today as well because the Yankees are taking over the baseball universe for now. So why not send our Yankees podcast onto both feeds, get dressed up, go talk about Juan Soto, who could be a Yankee by the end of this show. Kind of felt like he might be a Yankee this morning. Still isn't a Yankee. People treating it like an inevitability. Medicals or whatever the final stages they have to get through. It's never inevitable. It could be over before we know it. We just don't know. Michael King, supposedly a major part of this yet to be completed trade, which may or may not be at the half-yard line. He's had some elbow troubles in the past. But bottom line, it seems like the Yankees are close to acquiring the number one prize of this offseason. It seems like they are not intent on being done. It seems like they are considering being in the Yoshinobu Yamamoto chase just as much today as they were yesterday. And now we just have to get this to the finish line so we can talk about Soto in confident terms instead of Soto in speculative terms. Thomas Carannante, thank you for joining the show today on our double channels. And I believe you have an offer for our listeners.
Love it. What's up, guys? Welcome on in. Yanks Go Yard, partnering with Sleeper Daily Fantasy. Have you heard this yet? It's pretty damn good. New users get a first deposit match up to $100. Make sure to use our code FANSIDED2, that is the number 2, FANSIDED2, when signing up to receive your deposit match. Please remember to always game responsibly. Scan the QR code on the screen to see if you qualify. Man, Alex Verdugo on my Sleeper Daily Fantasy team. I don't know how I feel about that.
I think we were talking about what to do for the show. When should we go live? We want the show to be done. We want to, hopefully get it completed, not just be speculating. And you were like, we could also talk about the Alex Verdugo trade. I was like, oh yeah, the Yankees did trade for my least favorite player in Major League Baseball last night. Yeah. So I guess we should detail all of that before we get into what could be with Soto, because this is already, the Yankees announced it. The Yankees put out a poorly shopped photoshopped picture of Alex Verdugo without a beard, kind of with a little beard and Yankees pinstripes. So this is real. This happened. Apparently they're not moving him in the near term. That's what John Morosi said. So Alex Verdugo will not be in a Juan Soto package. He's not going to San Diego. That could change. But if it does change and if he's made available, it won't be in the Padres trade. He will go somewhere else months down the line, weeks down the line. It seems like the Yankees have counteracted. Last season, they had no left fielder. Bummer, mistake, issue. This season, they seem likely to have 2 left fielders and no center fielder. Which one of those is better? They both sound not great. And the left fielder they acquired last night is probably the most hated player amongst the current fan base. He's number 1 in the power rankings. So let's be downers before we're uppers. I mean, this is one of the worst moves on the surface in the history of Brian Cashman's tenure. Yeah. Alex Verdugo's OPS with runners in scoring position the last 2 years. I was told yesterday he's clutch. He's a 250 hitter the last couple of years with RISP, and his OPS is in the 600s both years. He doesn't appear to be clutch anymore. Clutch comes and goes, but it's gone for him. So this does absolutely nothing for me. A contact hitter who didn't really hit much last year, disciplinary issues, constantly benched by his manager for showing up late, legal issues, and detestable on the surface.
Man, I'll never forget. I went to the 2020. What was the year after the lockout? 2022, right?
After the lockout. Yeah, I thought you meant after COVID.
No, after the lockout and the Yankees Red Sox series, because they pushed the season 2 weeks. Because of the lockout, or a week and a half or whatever it was. And it just so happened that it was Red Sox Yankees at the stadium. And man, Verdugo was playing left field. And I've been to a lot of Yankee games. I've sat in the bleachers. That was some of the worst abuse I've ever heard a player get from the Yankees fan base. So I don't know how well this is going to go over, or if it will go over well at all. I expressed discontent with this at the onset. Solely because I knew he was not going to be part of a larger package to go back to San Diego for Juan Soto, because the Padres are not that dumb. The Padres are not replacing Juan Soto in the short term with Alex Verdugo, who has an escalated salary, being in the final year of his arbitration process, and doesn't bring the requisite power that the Padres would need. Remember, the Padres' problem last year was offense. It was not pitching. Their pitching was very good. Their problem was situational hitting, runners in scoring position, just overall run production, and extra innings games, which they were, 1-13 in or something ridiculous. They won like 1 towards the end of the year. So for as much as it would make sense on the surface, which a lot of people were saying, it's like, oh, this could be part of a bigger package for him to go to San Diego. It's like, no, if they're getting something in return for Juan Soto, it's going to be controllable. It's going to be something that they can build into a surplus. It's not going to be patchwork, which this would be. This would be an exact patchwork job. And yeah, I am always skeptical of these types of dealings. Look at the Red Sox.
I don't want to. Can I? Do I have to look at the Red Sox?
Yeah, stare into the Red Sox.
I don't want to do that at all.
Boston. 2 separate president of baseball ops have tried to trade him to the Yankees, if we're to believe the rumor. So last year, there was the buzz of Chaim Bloom trying to get off of Verdugo and deal him to the Yankees. That was the Gleyber Torres rumor. That was the Clark Schmidt rumor that people were not particularly happy about. Can't blame you either. And now they bring in a new president of baseball ops, Craig Breslow. His first order of business is getting Alex Verdugo off this roster.
Alex Cora said to him several times, reportedly, just do this. Get him out. I don't care.
Yes.
Get him out. He's done. Okay.
So what do you think, folks? Talk to us in the comments. Why would you think the Red Sox would be willing to do? Think about when the Yankees dealt Adam Ottavino to Boston and right after the 2020 season. Why'd they do that? Windhorst. Why'd they do that? They did that because Adam Ottavino was not good anymore, and they wanted to get off of his money, and they said, you know what? Have him, Boston. See how it works out for you. It worked out for a few months, then he blew the ALCS like everybody saw coming. So being that Verdugo was, look, there are some unfair aspects about Alex Verdugo's baseball career. He was never supposed to be that good. The Mookie Betts trade placed unrealistic expectations on him as a player because it's like, oh, this was the main guy going back to Boston. This is the guy who has to be a semblance of the next Mookie Betts. That was never happening. His player profile never suggested any of that.
No. Above average outfielder with limited
barely.
pop, 15 to 20 homer pop, and he kind of did that. He was playing at an all-star level in April and May last year, then absolutely cratered as the year went on. And like we said, was benched not once but twice for showing up late, for missing curfew, an overall disaster of a year.
Yeah, those are childish issues. And look, for as much as we can't stand Alex Cora is a good manager, in my opinion. He's a good player manager as well as a disciplinarian, as you could see with all this Verdugo stuff. So the fact that Verdugo kind of ran wild, or at least attempted to run wild under Alex Cora, what's going to happen with Boone? Yeah, Verdugo, he was out in the Bronx late last night. We're still going to play. He's a little hungover today. We're still going to play. He's going to bat leadoff.
You know, we had an hour-long meeting that delayed my availability. It was just to talk baseball, not disciplinary stuff. I had a lot of people saying this reminds them of Josh Donaldson, and that's ridiculous. Yeah. That is ridiculous. Josh Donaldson had an 820 OPS before we traded for him. He was good.
It's true.
Verdugo in the low 700s.
Yeah.
Josh Donaldson was a much better player when we got him than Verdugo now. Come on.
Yeah.
Red Sox, insipid, like all that stuff, but he's just a poor fit. I see the comments talking about Verdugo in center field. He found his range in right last year. He was a Gold Glove finalist, but overall the OAA numbers say fairly below average the last 2 years. He's a -4 the last 2 years at his chosen positions. I don't see him in center field at all.
He's got no arm.
Do you want, while we get angry about this should be a Juan Soto celebration podcast instead of an Alex Verdugo.
We'll get there. We'll be getting there.
Bemoaning podcast, but that's what they did to us. That's what they've taken from us.
Yeah.
Do you want the latest Juan Soto tweet that tells you nothing? Do you want that?
The Randy Miller one? Hit me.
Andy Martin. Well, not Randy Miller. I'm blocked. They can't even read Randy Miller.
Oh, the Randy Miller one's good. So read this one. I'll give you the Randy Miller one.
Okay, I got an Andy Martino for you from 1:57 p.m. Sounds like a decent chance the Soto to Yankees trade will be done within a few hours. They'd working on details.
Okay.
So that's what we got. We got the same thing we've heard already. Might be this hour, might be a couple hours. Bob Nightingale said cautious optimism about the next few days. And they'd working on details. Now, hit me with Randy Miller, who, again, has blocked me on Twitter.
I will one-up you at 1:47 p.m. A friend of a friend just talked to Juan Soto's dad. Juan Soto Sr. said, quote, "A trade is happening," end quote, between the Yankees and Padres.
Juan Soto Sr. said that?
Juan Soto Sr. told that to a friend of Randy Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We could have
Where do you think Juan Soto Sr. heard that? Could it have been everywhere? Could it have possibly been every reporter?
He saw it on his Twitter account
every 25 minutes.
He saw it on Mastodon.
I too believe a trade is gonna get done, but the question right now is whether everybody clears the medicals and Alex Verdugo. I guess that's done already. That apparently came through. People were saying, "Oh, the Yankees must have known they were in a good place on Soto, so they moved forward on Verdugo." Someone said the Verdugo thing came through really quickly yesterday. And may or may not have been what Alex Cora was smirking about when he said, I talked to Aaron Boone. I think maybe something, could be going on. Could that be the thing? Because obviously the two parties were collaborating. I just can't get past, forget the stats, forget the person, forget the off-field incidents. In what world are the Red Sox like, this guy was a toxic clubhouse issue last year, and we're going to trade him to the Yankees to help them? No, his toxicity is well known. There is no way that the Red Sox were like, I think Alex Verdugo needs a fresh start. Let's send him to the Bronx. I think they were like, man, we could give him a fresh start in Seattle, or we could hilariously foist our number one problem on the New York Yankees. Let's do that.
Let me play the weird optimist here, because this is not my game. But you look at the structure that the Yankees have versus what the Red Sox have. Alex Cora is very much like the guy in Boston, at least in my opinion, based on what we've watched over the last few years. Devers isn't exactly an influential clubhouse person based on what we've kind of seen. I don't think he has that larger than life personality. So
Xander was his mentor.
Yeah, Xander. And Xander was his mentor.
Xander in that last year apparently did a lot of sulking when he didn't have his contract extension that he never got. I think that brought down the clubhouse for sure.
Yeah. So you had someone like a clubhouse stalwart such as Xander Bogaerts depart. Like the next guy in line is Chris Sale, who is an off the handle child.
The Jersey slicer, Christopher Scissorhands.
Makeshift art class with Chris Sale.
With Verdugo gone, he is the number one with a bullet most hateable Red Sox. Remember 100%. when he tore that TV off the wall at their AAA facility?
AAA, because he had a bad start.
He ruined their AAA stadium, and a bunch of Red Sox fans were like, he's just being intense, bro. I was like, he's being intensely a piece of shit. He's being an intense asshole.
Oh, you don't like players showing emotion, destroying property?
No, I don't.
You never heard
that was a Yankee, you'd love it. I'd love a Yankee breaking a TV. I would be scared of that. I'm in the media. I have to go into the locker room sometimes.
Terrified of Tommy Kahnle breaking a fan.
Domingo Herman threw a bunch of stuff through a TV, I think. I hated that.
It was not fun, and then had to go into a sauna.
But let it out. And the Yankees lost. The Yankees lost two pitchers with the first two picks of the Rule 5 draft. That's currently going on. Mitch Spence goes number 1 to Oakland. Matt Sauer goes number 2 to KC. Neither goes to Boston. But the Yankees tried to say goodbye to both of those people last year, and nobody budged. Nobody took anybody. So this year, some more of the Yankees pitching depth is gone. That's fine, but it happened.
All right. Yeah, and more pitching depth will be going the Soto trade. We'll get to that in a second. Back to what I was saying about the one positive about, I guess, this Verdugo trade, if we wanted to be a little bit more optimistic about it. There is very much a clear power structure in New York. It's Aaron Judge, it's Garrett Cole, and there is at least a holdover of some players that have been here for quite some time, where I think there would be at least a concerted and united effort to put Alex Verdugo in his place and have him not act out or act in a way that would be detrimental to the team. In addition, I also think in a lineup surrounded by bats such as Juan Soto, I mean, this is the obvious, such as Soto, such as Judge, even Stanton and Rizzo, that's going to help him a lot too. I think he's a talented player. I dislike him. I think he's got a lot of making up to do in order to win over the fan base in any capacity. So I think he'll be he'll be out to prove himself from day one, which is also, I think, a beneficial aspect here, like players that have that kind of chip on their shoulder or that kind of instant pressure on them. It's a good test for their success in New York. But I think the structure is in place for him to not act out and for him to kind of maximize his player profile a little bit more than he did in Boston. That said, I'm still not happy about it. I still think it's going to take shine off this Juan Soto trade whenever it goes down, which seems like it could be any moment now. But let's get into that. Let's have some fun talking about the good times.
Let's get into that because, look, it's not done. Our comments are saying Andy Martino is saying on MLB Network that Jason Dominguez, Clark Schmidt, Drew Thor, Michael King, and 2 to 3 other prospects are in the mix for Soto, Grisham, and someone named Navarra. You're going to have to help me out in this one, commenter, because I'm not seeing that anywhere else. And Jason Dominguez is reportedly off limits in this trade. So I don't know. I'd chill a little bit in the crowd. I don't know if we have to. I don't know if we have to give that attitude, bud.
Whoa,
bro. Hey, man. I mean, that
maybe he views you as a bud.
I don't know. I mean, that again, I'm not trying to be rude. That has not even been discussed to this point. If you could, and Twitter has tweeted
clip.
Twitter hasn't tweeted it, so I would love to see that clip. If that's a clip, that would be.
Twitter hasn't tweeted it.
Twitter hasn't tweeted it. It's nowhere. I mean, that would be downright stunning if that happened. But as far as we know, Dominguez is off limits. And this guy's just being a fun guy calling me daddy. So yeah, we'll see. Hey, if that is real, Twitter will have that soon. I promise you. I'm not going to put on TV while on the stream. So that's unfortunately not something I can do unless you guys want to hear loud TV. But let's talk about Juan Soto, because if it's not done, Jack Curry made it very clear this morning that these medical reviews take a long time. And so if it was in the medical review stage, there's certainly a definite that the Padres are going to be really thorough here. So are the Yankees. But, that could take up several hours in a day, and it's no guarantee. But if it doesn't happen, it's an all-time embarrassing display from the Yankees, from the media. It feels like all of these media members have been waiting on the hey, you're good to go text forever. People are getting impatient. People are just leaking parts of it. People are coming up with 35 different ways to say close. Randy Miller is talking to Soto's dad's friend of a friend of a friend. Everybody's getting impatient here. It's a blockbuster. It's going to take some time to iron out, but for all intents and purposes, if the Yankees do not complete this, at this point, it wouldn't be considered just a normal failed trade. It would be a significant, baseball landscape shaking moment if they don't finish this.
Death sentence.
Yeah, this isn't even Max Scherzer and Trey Turner of the Padres is the famous he said it was and it wasn't. But that was 15 minutes.
Yeah,
that was it's close. Oh, never mind.
This is weeks. This is a month now.
That was Arson Judge too. It was Arson Judge appears headed to Giants. Oh wait, no, he didn't. Sorry. And then the next morning, everything changed. This would be months, weeks, at least 24 hours of people saying Jack Curry, the most trustworthy possible source, has to know that this is extremely close to be able to tweet all the things that he is currently tweeting. So I think we can at least be excited about the potential of Juan Soto. Who are there negatives to Juan Soto? Are there negatives to have 1 year of Juan Soto without an extension? Are there negatives to cramming 2 left fielders into your outfield? Sure. Absolutely. You have to be crazy to not think that. But the Yankees are very close to acquiring a top 5 hitter in Major League Baseball who is a 25-year-old. And the Yankees are also apparently not satisfied there and will continue to chase Yoshinobu Yamamoto and hope to push their payroll past $300 million. So getting Juan Soto is important, but knowing that you don't have that much more of Garrett Cole's and Aaron Judge's primes to waste and you're going to be the Yankees is arguably more important than even getting Juan Soto, who is literally Juan Soto. Thomas Carannante, your thoughts on Juan Soto, who is, again, Juan Soto?
Yeah, I think he's a great, perfect fit with the Yankees. I don't know if you've heard that take yet, but...
Well, they match up well with the Padres because the Padres need pitching at the upper levels of the minors as well as catching depth, and the Yankees need left-handed thump in their lineup. So a match would make perfect sense. A match
would. Whenever you can get one of the best players in baseball, I mean, you got to consider it, right?
This is a simple one. Is there a chance it could go wrong? Of course. But if you have the opportunity to get Juan Soto, you get Juan Soto.
Yes, you do. I love it. This is something we've been talking about for a while. We wish it would have probably been done at this year's trade deadline when the Padres were kind of not really contending and the Yankees needed that one big blockbuster deal that would have maybe saved their season and snuck them in through the wild card. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, you get Soto. It doesn't matter what the cost is, really. I hope it's not 7 players because taking that kind of a hit to the pitching depth is going to create a whole new problem for Brian Cashman to solve. And, he already started off the offseason by getting Verdugo, who, by the way, I'm sorry I'm going back to this, but the photo pops up on my Twitter. What are we going to do with this guy's appearance? He has gold teeth, earrings, a beard, and chains. He's going to be another player, and I have no problem with that look. It's just that's who he is. We're going to strip him down of that.
Yeah.
And he's going to lose himself. It's
Instead
like Aaron Hicks growing the beard the next fucking day.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing.
Instead of a chain, Alex, how do you feel about eating your vegetables? Instead of grills, what about helping an old woman cross the street? The organization needs to get. I don't think Alex Verdugo is cool, but they do need to get cooler.
Yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, that type of, I guess, swag, moxie, whatever you want to call it, is certainly what the Yankees need in a sense. I wouldn't go as far as it being the Alex Verdugo version of that, but whatever. Anyway, pertaining to Soto, this is perfect. This is what we've asked for. Also, it was kind of expected. Like you said, it would be a massive, I don't even know what the word would be if they didn't. If this would be an AJ Preller masterclass in ruining a franchise,
all-time world historic failure.
Yeah, but you get the lefty bat. I think the lineup gets a lot more flexible. I think you can do anywhere from Rizzo, Verdugo, Soto, Judge, all batting leadoff on a particular day. I think you have a lot of flexibility with the DH spot. Aaron Boone talked at the winter meetings yesterday about Stanton. Christopher Russo. That's an impression that needs to make the live podcast.
Oh, I can do that one. We haven't done that a lot. What did he say? Well, give me what he said.
He was asking about. He was like he was getting a little bit heated about what are you gonna do with Stanton? Is he gonna play the field? What do you have to say about that, Aaron? He can't be hitting under 200 and locked in the DH all year.
Well, no, Ken. Of course they can. What are you doing? I mean, like that one's like the Yankees are close. On Juan Soto, they're close, I keep hearing. They got a lineup full of big guys. And no smaller guys.
He was asking about, but nonetheless, he was asking about Stanton.
I think I broke the microphone.
Oh, it's good.
Please.
He was asking about Stanton's ability in the field, and Aaron Boone was saying that, I mean, why am I getting excited about this? God damn it. He was saying that he was working hard on his conditioning and his strength.
I heard that too.
Yeah. But anyway, it was something Aaron Boone was actually, it wasn't filled with a bunch of and all that and that nonsense, because that's every time Aaron Boone starts talking like that, you completely lose him. He was he seemed very convicted on what Stanton's offseason plan was and then the plans for him in the new year. He said there is going to be hopefully a lot of availability for him to play the outfield. I think last year that was probably a different discussion. They were a little bit more caged on that front. They weren't really giving up much, and they were saying, oh, we'll see. This time it was like, we need him available. He knows he needs to be available. He also knows that element of his game is advantageous to his offense. So we're really optimistic, and we think he's going to have a huge year. Then again, the same thing was said about Donaldson last offseason. Yeah. So take it all with a grain of salt. But if you do have this rotation of DHs, if Stanton can play a little bit of the field, you actually get the bright side here is you actually have real outfielders. I know they're still going to kind of be out of position, but you have actual outfielders who have experience playing the outfield, the position being the outfield, and they're also good at hitting the ball. So you can move guys around a little bit without it being a Jake Bauers, a Billy McKinney, a Franchi Cordero, or whatever, or Isaiah Conner-Falefa, whatever else was out there that made the lineup look like it was a bottom 5 team in Major League Baseball. So that type of flexibility, where this is where you use offense to dig out of your problems. If you have a defensive alignment that is not the best,
yes,
you better make sure they can hit. And all these guys can hit. They have different profiles. We're going to be hoping for Alex Verdugo to be a little bit of a better version of himself than he was in Boston. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge be themselves. Giancarlo Stanton just not be absolutely detrimental, and you're looking at a much better situation.
There are too many fans who saw the Yankees dynasty in the 90s and are just like, why can't we, like, I don't understand. Why do we need a Juan Soto? Why can't we get like a Paul O'Neill? And that's like the most meaningless discourse you could possibly share.
Yeah.
That means nothing. Like, it basically means, why can't we get the exact roster from the 90s back? It worked, right? It worked a lot. They won the World Series in 96, 98, 99, 2000. That was fantastic. And they plugged in Scott Brocious, and he was electric. And they had Bernie Williams. These are fantastic players, but these have nothing to do with the current Yankees. All that means is they had really strong bats all around the diamond. Paul O'Neill was a solid defender, but Paul O'Neill was not like a gold glover with incredible range. It wasn't like the 90s Yankees went all in on pitching and defense. They just found an incredible combination of talented offensive players with solid defensive skills across the board. Bernie Williams had a bad arm. If Bernie Williams were playing today, everybody was saying, I don't know, his StatCast, his Savant has a bunch of blue and arm strength. The Yankees couldn't do better than that. Like, we look back on the 90s Yankees and bathe them in glory because they won a whole bunch of World Series. But if they, like, I don't want to say, like, if they hadn't, they wouldn't have. Like, that's just why this discourse is so stupid. Because there's nothing I can say. The Yankees should absolutely be looking for the modern equivalent of the 90s team. They should get all of those guys. But Juan Soto is a future Hall of Famer. The Red Sox won a World Series with Manny Ramirez and his subpar defense at Fenway Park in front of the monster. But he hit 40 homers a year and was clutch in the postseason and elevated his game when they needed him most. Like, the Yankees, I'm tired of saying they need a this, not a that. They need talent.
Yeah.
And they definitely need lefty bats. And Juan Soto is by far the most talented name who've changed hands over the last couple of years. Second only potentially to Juan Soto in 2022. That's the only player I would compare to Juan Soto. Is the last time Juan Soto got traded. And you get your lefty bats in the lineup. Like, and it just so happens to be the best left-handed bat in Major League Baseball, a top 3 one. Like, I'm not willing to have a conversation about how, the Yankees should be trying to be more like, they should be unearthing hidden gems. Imagine if instead of acquiring Juan Soto, they made the equivalent of the Scott Brocious trade this offseason. Like, the Yankees didn't get Juan Soto, but they sure did trade for Mike Yastrzemski. Like, people would be throwing flaming chairs.
What do we think the end package here is going to be?
I think Jack Curry's is right on the money. I don't think he would have tweeted it if it wasn't.
What was it?
It's kind of large, by the way. It's kind of big. It's
just as big as it was before.
King Thorpe, Brito Vasquez, and maybe a catcher. So it's the 4 main names from the 7-man package.
Wow.
But instead it's a 5-man package. So if you want to criticize Brian Cashman for a little bit, and I will, he wanted to hold King and Thorpe out, right? And we all thought, like, okay, well, then come eat in the middle, give up one of those guys. And if he's really going to come back and give up both of those guys, then what was the point in waiting around for 5 days?
Schmidt.
You want to hold people out so that you can eventually dangle one and be like, we're meeting in the middle. You don't want to hold 2 guys out and then eventually be like, we'll give you those guys. So AJ Preller wins that round, but I don't think 2 years of Michael King is too much. I don't think Drew Thorpe is too much when you have Chase Hampton and Will Warren and Luis Heel and Clayton Beater and Brock Selvage still in the system. I think that this is the amount of pain that you have to feel to get Juan Soto. I would like to keep Brito. I would like to keep Brito out of this trade. But if I don't have the right to do that, then fine. Give me Juan Soto, put him on my roster.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, surrendering that many pitchers certainly hurts. But then again, if you can't replicate a Brito Vasquez, what are you doing? What's the point? The goal is to be able to have spot starters like that, multi-inning relief options that are pretty much able to seamlessly transition from the upper levels of the minors to the majors. I know it sounds easier said than done, but that's what these people are paid to do. The people are paid to scout the right players and get these players in the right roles. And it shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to find second tier pitching for the back end of your starting rotation in your bullpen. King hurts. You're gonna have to give up someone like King. I thought giving up King and Schmidt would have been problematic because you're talking about getting rid of 2/5 of the starting rotation, and then you're talking about Brito and Vasquez as essentially the 6 and 7 starters. So you're getting rid of, in theory, 4 starters. King, but again, King, we don't know if he can handle a full starter's workload. So I think that's probably an asset you should be comfortable parting with. I don't know who else would be MLB ready at this point. I guess Thorpe and Will Warren's close, right? Thorpe, Will Warren, and where's Hampton at?
Right below. I mean, he's a double-A. He's close.
He's double-A. Yeah. I mean, so I mean,
to address Fernando's claim in the comments, like, look, you can be skittish about giving up all this pitching depth, but the only thing the Yankees have is pitching. Right? Like, if you're going to tell me you can have Juan Soto, great, put him in the lineup. But wait, hold on. You have to give up a major league ready starter and a top pitching prospect. Okay, great. That's basically the only thing I'm comfortable giving up for Juan Soto for 1 year. If you tell me you have to give up Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez, I'm like, I'm a little nervous because I don't know if I can replicate that. But if you're telling me all you have to do is give up somebody who, by the way, the Yankees brilliantly showcased Michael King in September. This trade isn't happening if Michael King isn't a starter in September. Shout out to the Yankees for that idea, whether it came from King or whether it came from the team. Now we get to use him as a centerpiece in this. He's not the centerpiece in this deal if he's a 7th-inning swingman type. Like, he just isn't. So is it a little uncomfortable? Yeah, but it's a trade. It's a blockbuster trade. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. We've taken Cashman to task for refusing to get uncomfortable the past couple years, and if he gives up King and Thorpe, then that's basically what a big old trade looks like. It's it's tough. It's a tough ask, but it's kind of what you have to do to get a full year of Juan Soto. And he is not going to extend before the season ends. He just isn't. But I want the year of Soto. I want the year of Soto with Judge and Cole in their primes as best as you can do it. And I want the year of Juan Soto to learn whether Juan Soto in New York works. I don't want to outbid people at $475 million next winter only for him to come here and be like, New York's not my home. So Shohei Ohtani said the other day, I can't see myself playing in New York. Maybe Soto says that too. But right now he has no choice. He gets to play in New York for a year. We get to learn all about him. Maybe it's a fantastic year. Maybe the Yankees sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto too. Maybe they win the World Series. Maybe they let him walk after that. Maybe it's an awful year. Nothing works. We're regretting the trade, and then we don't have to pay him $460 million.
Yeah. And the other end of the spectrum here is what deal doesn't make you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah. Good ones make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's no deal here that will make you feel fine.
We got a little bit spoiled by the Giancarlo Stanton trade because we heard we were getting Giancarlo Stanton, and then we were like, oh my gosh, what are we giving up? And then the report came out, it was like Rafael Devers' little brother and our 12th prospect. They made
Castro.
They made the Alex Verdugo trade for Giancarlo Stanton. It's the easiest trade they've ever made. It was the least painful. And if fans want to be like, oh man, the Yankees always get what they want, that's basically the one example where there was no Yankees tax. It was like, you can have the tax was the actual money. The tax was the fact that he's an anchor on their payroll now. But it's like, you can have the MVP for nothing. And the Yankees were like, great, I'm in. And Yankee fans now expect every trade with high profile players to be like that. And it's not going to be.
Yeah, I don't. And again, because who was excluded from the talks that the report dropped yesterday? It was Dominguez, Volpe, Glaber, Pereira, and Peraza.
So they probably just don't want Peraza.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably it too. But it's like, what combination? You don't want to give up most of those guys. I know probably no one would take any exception to giving up Pereira and Peraza, but like you also. Teams are, if you think about this, if you are fine giving those guys up, rival GMs don't want them.
Yeah.
Rival GMs are not going to want them for one of the best players in the sport. So that's how you have to think of this. Again, the one positive thing the Yankees have done is been able to develop pitching up toward the AAA level, and they've been able to find relievers and build a bullpen that's the best in the league. So if there's anything we cannot have to worry about, it's probably that. I think this offseason, they really do have to figure out what is going on between this, AAA to major league transition or AA to AAA transition, because there have been obstacles there that are kind of inexplicable based on what all the development has shown us. So maybe that's part of the initiative to figure things out. But again, we complained earlier in the week that Michael King and Drew Thorpe being non-starters for Brian Cashman was a major problem and completely counterintuitive to the Yankees' goals and completely in line with everything we've been frustrated with for 4 years, because he's been reluctant to hang on to, or he's been reluctant to part with prospects and keep a lot of low-level talent that ended up not developing properly or coming to fruition for the Yankees. So again, there is no situation where we can get mad at him unless there is a complete crazy turnaround with a new package that pops up that ends up including guys that we never expected and ends up drastically affecting what they can do in 2024. This package does not do that. It does create a little bit of a short-term problem, but then again, Yamamoto's still in on, or the Yankees are still in on Yamamoto. There's still plenty of other deals that could be made, whether it's trades, because this does not necessarily knock out a lot of the top end of the Yankees farm system. If only, I guess, maybe it's Drew Thorpe who's being involved here, and Brito and Vasquez have graduated. So now you're looking at the possibility of trading a few other guys. Maybe you get the Brewers on the phone for Corbin Burns or Devin Williams, if that's something they're interested in doing. I don't know, but there are possibilities. Do I feel a little bit uneasy that Brian Cashman now has to make more moves to address other areas of roster? Not exactly. I don't feel great about that, but he's apparently getting the Soto deal done, and that's what we've asked for. So I don't think we have the right to complain about it.
Well, new drastic packages that could change everything. Are you referring to the one that the guy who dropped in the comments before, the guy who said, "Baby boy, you say on my mind, fulfill my fantasy"? It's Dominguez, yes. King, Schmidt. Yeah, that
would shock me. Yeah.
Again, we're going on a half hour. I don't think that has been reported literally anywhere.
Never,
ever, never happened. Martino said Dominguez and Volpe were being asked about like a week ago on like November 29th.
Yeah.
So perhaps you are watching week-old TiVo MLB Network.
Yeah.
In which case, check your cable box, call Fios, see what you can get, because I don't think that's. They also don't want. Andy Martino himself was tweeting about the Yankees keeping Dominguez earlier in the day, like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Said that the outfield would be Soto, Judge, Verdugo, and the Dominguez would miss most of Soto's year in the Bronx, which is true. So, yeah, I mean, will we write an article in May when Drew Thorpe is 4-0 with a 1.84 ERA about Yankees could regret Drew Thorpe trade? Of course we will, but that doesn't mean it's not a move that you make right now. You have to do this. And
Soto's batting 100. Drew Thorpe is leading candidate for the NL Cy Young Award.
Soto hit 202 in April last year with power, and he still walked, and he had like a 790 OPS. But if that's happening and Drew Thorpe is dominating, I'm sure we'll write about it. But it will be disingenuous because you have to make this kind of move and go for Juan Soto. Do you want breaking news?
Is it the Albert Abreu news?
It certainly is.
Yes, it is.
From our very own Robert Murray, Baseball Insider's co-host and FanSided's MLB Insider. The New York Yankees reliever Albert Abreu recently shucked off the roster, has agreed to a deal with, and this is going to really hurt because it's one of our chief rivals. I mean, we're going to see him 19 times a year, the Cebu Lions. Albert Abreu has jumped overseas. And how many times can you think of in the last year that Brian Cashman wouldn't DFA Albert Abreu? Just his special little project. Got to fix my special little guy. And now he is on the Cebu Lions.
He got DFA'd by 2 major league teams. The Yankees picked him up again, and now he's in Japan. So, yeah, that's why I'm nervous that Brian Cashman has to now potentially, depending on what this package is, make a laundry list of other pitching moves. But we'll see. This is what we asked for. This is what we get. Hopefully it at least ignites. Because the other thing is, the other end of the spectrum here is that if the Yankees offense is 10 spots better in the overall MLB rankings, the pitching becomes less important. And I'm not saying that you can afford to go into the season with not enough pitching, but maybe if at the onset the right acquisitions are not made to address the losses from the Soto trade, you can buy yourself some time. The offense can carry you for a few weeks, maybe a month, and then you could start assessing what you need to do with the trade deadline. So again, you get 2 lefty bats to improve the offense. Look, and even if you're not that excited about Alex Verdugo, believe us, we're not.
We're not.
You get a league average bat in there that is miles better than what was there last year. Miles better than what we had last year. So I think that's something that maybe we need to pay a little bit more attention to, because the amount of people that we had roaming the outfield that were incapable major league players, now we have somebody who is very much a major league starter. Definitely worthy of a major league starting position. And now one of the best hitters in the league. So that's a major revamp that a lot of fans have been asking for.
And is there a chance Verdugo goes at the deadline if Dominguez is healthy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
See ya.
Cebu Lions for you. Well, should we talk about the flip side of this, the Yamamoto angle, just because?
Yeah, Yamamoto.
We don't know what we don't know. Like, obviously, this is not a done deal. Every team wants Yamamoto. There have been some weird signs around the Mets the last couple of days, which I think is mainly what's important here. But the Yankees have indicated Andy Martino that a Soto trade, just like a Verdugo trade did not get in Soto's way, a Soto trade financially would not get in the way of a Yamamoto addition. The Yankees are still all in there. They've got Hideki Matsui doing the recruitment. They have a meeting scheduled for next week. Aaron Boone, in one of the weirdest moments so far, have you ever seen that clip of Laura Dern on the red carpet saying she met Baby Yoda at a basketball game?
No.
They're like, hey, Laura Dern, thank you for joining us. Like, Baby Yoda is all the rage. How do you feel about that adorable little guy? And she's like, I met him actually at a basketball game. And it's the most confusing clip of all time, because you're like, does she not know who Baby Yoda is? Who did she meet? And who did she think was Baby Yoda? Aaron Boone did that yesterday. They were like, have you met Yoshinobu Yamamoto? And he was like, yeah, I actually have. In passing, I met him. Like, when did you meet him? Even Brian Cashman said I hadn't met him yet. Brian Cashman went to Japan and said I hadn't met him. Aaron Boone was like, yeah, I met him.
And now I'm thinking of Laura Dern making out with Baron Davis.
That also happened. Yeah, maybe that's who she thought was Baby Yoda. It was a nickname for Baron Davis, who she swapped spit with. I don't know, but it gave me the same vibes. It was like, when did you meet him? Like a gas station? What are you talking about? But the Yankees are in. Here's the weird thing, though, and they're willing to spend for whoever. The Mets are. The Mets got to be in. I've long considered the Mets to be the Yankees to be the 1A and 1B in this chase. And then if the Dodgers don't get Ohtani, they'll go crazy as well and join at the top. And the Red Sox are there, and the Cardinals are there. But I've always thought, okay, Steve Cohen, you're gonna have to outbid Steve Cohen if you want to get this done, right? The Mets. In an Andy Martino report from either yesterday or the day before, it said that the Mets were starting to feel a little bit less confident, and that Yamamoto was looking for a franchise with prestige, which, the Mets can't fake that. They've been around for a long time, but you can't fake that. And so it was like much more interested in the Yankees, Cardinals, Red Sox, etc., and the Dodgers. And then today, Morosi, I got to scroll back through Morosi's. Yeah. So source, Yamamoto expected to meet with the Yankees in the U.S. on Monday. The Yankees are seen as one of the top candidates to sign Yamamoto, along with the Red Sox, Giants, Dodgers, and Cubs. We don't even get the Mets in that tweet. They're not even top 5 in that tweet anymore. After that, after Morosi's update, it came out that Steve Cohen flew to Japan reportedly last week, had dinner with Yamamoto at a Japanese-French restaurant in Japan, met his family, flew back, and they're going to meet with him again. So it doesn't sound like they're out to me. You don't power move, fly to Japan and go enjoy French, Japanese cuisine, whatever that might be, if you're not in. But why are the Mets suddenly being docked in this chase by several, not just Morosi, but also Martino, who our commenters love to say is claiming Jason Dominguez is in the Soto trade. But if you trust him on that, you got to trust him on this too.
This is significant. I think that puts the Yankees in a really good position. I thought for a second that the Yankees were going to be disadvantaged in the Yamamoto chase because of potentially the Padres taking a lot longer to deal Juan Soto, because the Yankees would have been distracted trying to get that done. 2, Shohei Ohtani's delayed free agency that is really the talk of the baseball world in a bad way. All these reporters coming out writing these columns suggesting that it's bad for the sport. It's a giant missed opportunity. It's, whatever else goes along with that. And you have to agree because he's the first domino to fall before all the other free agents can sign. The winter meetings is the most anticipated time of the year for this. So I do agree with that. But the Dodgers were, that's the other thing here. Like, it's always kind of been Yankees Dodgers. And then like everyone feared the Mets because it's Steve Cohen, and Steve Cohen could, I guess, theoretically have pushed his market a little bit further. But it seems like Yamamoto's market has just been pushed further naturally because of his age and how they're seeing, I guess, maybe like an Aaron Nola deal go down to 7 years for someone who's, I think he's entering his age 31 season, $171 million. Like Yamamoto's entering his age 25. He's had unprecedented success in Japan. I know that's an unknown commodity, but the fact that you would be getting 10 years of somebody basically in their prime is unheard of. It's essentially you getting to sign Juan Soto. But yeah, that those two things made me nervous because the Dodgers were always like 1A here, and the Mets were always lurking because they had the money, but it didn't really feel like there was much involved there outside of Kodai Senga being able to lobby for it for him. So yeah, the Dodgers are a team that needs starting pitching way worse than the Yankees do, and they're a team and they are going to be in really, really bad shape if they do not get Ohtani. They do not have a playoff roster right now, in my opinion. I would love for all the commenters to weigh in on that, because you watch the way that they flamed out last year. They lost a number of guys. Their 40-man roster is filled with just the players you never heard of. And they have a lot of work to do. And if they don't get one of the big two targets that they have literally made themselves financially flexible for the last however many years, it's going to be bad over there. So that's why I was afraid that would be the number one threat to Yamamoto. But apparently, I guess the Yankees have this edge that all these reporters keep talking about. I don't know what it is. Is it the number thing? Really?
It's the number thing. It's Matsui. It's the number thing. Who knows how long this has been going on? Aaron Boone met Yamamoto. What the hell? Like, chance meeting? Accident? Oh, hey, man. You're in line for Avengers also? Hey, Yoshinobu, I'm Aaron Boone. Nice to meet you. Probably not. Probably not. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to use a self-checkout. This is the regular checkout. Are you Yoshinobu Yamamoto? I'm Yankees manager Aaron Boone. It's good to see you. You bag groceries? Really? You should come on pitch for the Yankees. Hey, who knows? Well, we got to wrap this up. We got to get off this feed. We got some Jets fans who want to talk Jets. Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback of the New York Jets again. So stick around for the Jet Press podcast if you're into that. And you should be, because they're good at what they do. But we were hoping to have a Soto trade finalized. We were hoping Jack Curry would come on and say, like, it's done. Start the presses, pump the post out, get your jerseys, get your Jacoby Ellsbury jerseys, get your Bader Authentics, and wear them next year to the stadium, because that's Juan Soto's number 22. Get your Clemens jerseys, 90s. Remember the 90s? Remember Pogs?
Pogs were great.
Juan Soto. Well, I really hope we get Juan Soto by end of day. I don't want to be cautiously optimistic for several days. I want to be very optimistic for a couple more hours and then extremely happy because a Juan Soto trade is over, regardless of the final result. What comes next for the Yankees? Who knows? Got to get across this final hump first, and then we can speculate. I'm pumped. I'm pumped, and I certainly don't really look, it's going to sting a little bit if it gets done. There will be people I wish were still in a Yankee uniform. But most importantly, we get 162 games with Juan Soto, who is, watch the highlights if it's been a while. If you need a refresher on how good Juan Soto is and the damage he can potentially do with lasers to the porch, I recommend watching Juan Soto's highlights. And just getting yourself excited for a moment in history before thinking about how it might go wrong. We know it could go wrong. Often it does. But now is not the time. Now is the time to be excited about your favorite baseball team doing something extremely worthwhile. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. We love the New York Yankees. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
Hey, folks, come get me at Tommy's_takes. Come find the both of us at the official Yanks Go Yard Twitter account at YanksGoYardFS. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. We are covering the Yankees a lot. We are covering baseball a lot. Everything you need to know is right there. Helps us with the conversation on the pod. Thank you guys for chiming in. Thanks for tuning in. But we need you reading. We need you interacting with us as best as you can, because we're having a good time. And the offseason is coming together exactly as we had hoped for the most-ish part. Juan Soto. It's Juan Soto. I'm not going to let Alex Verdugo interrupt that for me. Not going to let it happen.
Even though we started today's show with the Verdugo trade.
I'm not going to let Albert Abreu going to Japan affect my mood. You better believe it. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, shout out to Albert Abreu for going to the Say Boo Lions, because we certainly did say boo often when Albert Abreu was in the game last year.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We can't wait for this trade to go down. We're happy to have spent the anticipatory stages here with you. Who knows when we'll be going live next? It all depends on what happens, but we hope to see you soon. And if we don't see you before the weekend happens, have a good one. We'll talk to you on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern live right here.
Good afternoon, everybody. We'll see you next week on Monday. Bye, everyone.